Hey now, everybody. Welcome back. Brand new Take Aim podcast, and excited to have my good buddy Blake Garrett with me to knock out the first rut report of 2020. And this show is exactly what it is. We're talking about the rut and nothing else. So if you're looking for some tips on how to hunt the rut or just some things that you like to pick up and basically learn for the next hunt you go out, this show's for you. We basically are talking about every phase of the rut up until now because it's going to change every day. And the rut changes, in a blink of an eye, day to day. So Blake will be back with me in the next couple of days. We're going to do it again and kind of give another update. But it's crucial timing right now, even though it's extremely warm across most of the Midwest. But listen to the podcast and some of those tips on there on hunting this warm weather. But hope you guys enjoy the show. It's a good one. And we'll see you guys again real soon. And as always, make sure if you get the chance to check out HuntStand. If you have not yet downloaded the HuntStand app, which is available iOS and Android, and use the code TAKEAIM10 for a special discount. See you guys again next week. All right, boys and girls, we are live, brand new Take Aim podcast, and excited to get this special election rut report out with my main man, Blake Garrett. What's happening?
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm all right, man. We were just chatting offline about some of our deer, and I'm like, I got to press a record before we just, blow this whole wad.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of get started on something and just, go and don't stop. Sorry.
Yeah. We're rolling, though. It's sweet November. It's crazy to think that we're already, November the 6th. But
yeah,
we'll kind of just recap the last couple days of what's going on in the rut. But I'll start a little bit, Blake. But the last couple days here has been completely dead, like lockdown. And 48 hours, 72 hours ago, excuse me, guys, I had an insane amount of activity from up and seeking and chase wise. But, I'm in Michigan, so an old deer here would be 3.5. So I got a really good hunting with one 3.5-year-old deer who, man, he was just up all morning, probably up in the dark. We were approaching that full moon, and, he was limping really slow. I ended up getting close enough to me that I was like, man, his front, his joint in which would be our kneecap, his joint right there is completely just the size of two pieces of 2x4. So you can tell it's just all broke underneath the skin there. And, but man, he was just all over the place. I saw him 3 times that morning before it was 10 o'clock, and 10 o'clock my time. So me and Blake are I'm an hour in front of him. It'd be 11 o'clock in Missouri, but 10 o'clock my time, or I'm sorry, it'd be 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
But, it was, so late morning, he was still up and cruising. Another buck came in, a 2.5-year-old, and he postured, snort wheeze, so it was really exciting hunt. But since that time, Blake, it is completely locked down. So the last 48 hours, I've gone from almost seeing absolutely zilch. So, and we're approaching these warm temps, but like we were saying offline, my scrapes, cameras, all that stuff has really shut down. So it kind of just gives you a little indication of what's going on here. I think some of the mature bucks are already locked down, and, hopefully in the next 48 hours when they get freed up, man, hopefully that temperature changes and it's a perfect storm. But right now it seems like we're in lockdown mode. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it can definitely come in waves, it seems like, it seems like always this week of November is always one that, if you have really great weather, it seems like it's always, it's kind of like a slow build up to just craziness, next week. But if you have really hot weather, it seems like it's like hit or miss. You know what I mean? It'll be you'll go sit with stand and you'll see, 5 bucks in one day, and then the next day you'll go set a stand and not see a deer, or
right.
not see or see 1 buck, or you know what I mean? It's just
exactly.
It's just so spotty. For us here in Missouri, so I've hunted pretty much every day since October 25th. And we had youth weekend, got a deer killed there, and then this week really started, bow hunting and kind of going into what I call rut hunting, which everyone has a different kind of rut style of hunting, I guess, and everyone really calls the rut at different times the rut. For me, the rut is before real breeding actually happens. I like to really hunt like funnels, bedding areas. I hate when deer start chasing and does actually get in the estrus because I can't control anything about that deer. I can't predict anything about that deer. I may have had that buck all year, and he may have found a hot doe and is 5 miles away. I mean, you just don't know. So really this time of the year for me is my favorite part of it. This is a time when you can kind of get into, a core area of a buck, know where he is, where he lives, and you kind of know, okay, he's going to be, though his timing is going to be sporadic, he's going to be on his feet at some point or a lot more than he's ever been all year in that same area. And that's really what we've keyed on. So all week we've hunted. It's been horrible weather. We've had, I think our lowest high was 65. So we've been somewhere between 65 and 75 all week. Night times highs, are 50, like 55, 60. So it's not even getting really cold at night. I was really at a point where I didn't really think there was going to be much of it for this week, honestly. But cameras did kind of the same thing you're talking about last week. I haven't had a big deer or a mature deer on a scrape since Halloween. Haven't had a picture of a mature deer in the daylight since Halloween, honestly, on a trail camera. They just kind of go dead, but a lot of my trail cameras are on edges. A lot of them are on staging areas. And the does have really kind of abandoned the food sources for the most part, at least not in big numbers like they were. And everything looks like, if you were just sitting back and not hunting, everything looks like it's just dead. But, it is November, and that is something that, for me, I always kind of push myself into it to go, and you just never know what's going to happen, And, yeah, we've been hunting, and honestly, it's been great. Probably one of the better, for the week leading up to the 10th, probably one of the better weeks of deer hunting I've had so far out of all the years past. Wow. It's been crazy. We've had we've been in the tree. In the tree, we'll hunt. Obviously we get in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes before daylight, and what's our sunrise here? Gosh, I think it's like 6:10 or something like that. But and we'll literally sit there for an hour and a half and not see a deer. And then around 7:30, between 7:30 and 9:30, like we were talking about, there's just deer everywhere. There's does up walking around. We got bucks chasing. We got bucks cruising. And pretty good deer. It's not like there's little deer doing it. We've had a couple 5-year-olds that we've seen on their feet, a couple 6-year-olds we've seen on the feet. Now, a lot of 4-year-olds, a lot of 3-year-olds, and then obviously the young guys are out running around too. But seeing a lot of deer on their feet, like I said, that mid-morning now, it usually dies around 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whenever it really starts heating up. With the temperature, I think right now it's like 70, 73, 74 here. So the midday stuff has been bad. So we've been pulling out and just going and grabbing lunch, and that's what we're actually doing now. And then we'll jump back in the tree around 2:30 or 3. And the evening sets have been kind of, they're slow start, obviously, because it's been warm. But we're getting, we're noticed at least that there's a pretty good pattern with bucks getting back on their feet and cruising back to those bedding areas before those does get out, for the evening. They want to hit them before they get out. So they're hitting, usually hitting the bedding areas. We're seeing a lot of movement between like 3:30 and 4:30. In the evenings, before really any other deer move. Usually the first deer we see in the evening is always a buck. Before we see does, before they're even up moving around, we'll see a buck come through. And then, pretty much from then on, from 4:30 on, it's just typical movement of deer. The does are getting up, so of course the bucks are there chasing them and cruising and all that. But yeah, it's been a good week. I would tell you on paper and looking at it from trail cameras.
No way.
Yeah, it's the worst week ever, But I can tell you, I no other way than just being in the timber and getting, off the edge, getting in timber and just really, really focusing on what that textbook funnel is, the funnel that condenses it down, that leads it between two bedding areas. Just getting in that funnel and riding it, for the morning and evening has been good, because typically what I would do is move from, those funnels in the morning, and then in the evening I'll go hunt food. Is what I usually always do. I always hunt the food in the evening and then hunt the funnels in the morning. Well, we hunted the food. We tried to hunt the food one night, and nothing came out. I mean, the does are just so late, that it's just not worth it. So we got in there and started just hunting bedding areas, and even the funnels again, that lead out, and noticed that that's where you picked up all that daytime movement.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's been good. We haven't killed a deer yet. I've seen my deer that I'm hunting. Have four encounters now with him since October 5th, and
that's crazy.
Still alive. Yeah. So
unreal.
He just has my number. I don't know. He's been beating me pretty good, but I don't know. We're gonna stay on him, see what we can do, and hopefully. I think, kind of like you talked about with that cycle thing. I mean, he kind of started doing that really this week. I think he popped on the 2nd. Saw him on the 2nd. He was gone the 3rd. Saw him on the 4th. He was gone yesterday. Didn't see him today yet. So he should be popping, here today, tomorrow. I mean, it seems like there's always like a 2 or 3 day swing, whether it be the circle those bucks make when they cruise, or right. Whether it be does, maybe they lock down with the doe. I don't know. Those big deer are just so dang efficient with what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the energy they disperse isn't really wasted. So I mean, if you see him up on his feet in the daylight, he's up for a reason, and he's not going to be up there. He's not going to be doing that every day for a week. He's going to do it for 1 day, 2 days, and. So you really got to jump in there, and that's kind of what we've been trying to do, is just really hunt him, because gosh, he was on his feet 2 days ago, twice. Saw him in the morning and in the afternoon. So ultimately, just hopefully he doesn't lock down and disappear for the rest of the week, but we'll see.
By chance, Blake, how old is this deer? Is he 5.5?
He's 5, yeah. He's 5.
5.5. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I know we got another deer that's 6, that also, we've seen twice. And he's kind of on the same cycle. Like we saw him on the 2nd, and then we didn't see him again until the 4th.
Gotcha.
Like it's kind of, the same thing. It's kind of a 2-day thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it does make me wonder, is it, how much of it is finding a hot doe and locking up for a day, or is it, just stepping out of that property that you hunt, and he's actually, going to the neighbors, whether it's the north, south, east, or west, and exploring some of those other areas where, typically you have none of that most recent information on because it's somebody else's property.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot, and I've always said this, and I wish I knew more about it, and I wish there was more research on it, but, scrapes and those communication symbols, like through scent and odor and stuff that those does give off and that the bucks give off, like, there's a lot to it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of communication there with when she's going to come in cycle, when she's going to be in estrus, and it may be a thing where he cruises through and nothing's close for 2 days, and he knows that. You know what I mean?
Right.
He may just simply say, okay, well.
I know enough. I don't need to be back till, like 72 hours. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And it very well could be that, and he's going to go check his other spots and then swing back through and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's definitely something to it because, I've noticed it in multiple different bucks that they'll get on this 2-day cycle. 2-day, 3-day, I've never seen it more than 3, but really like a 2-day or 3-day cycle where they'll just cruise through in the daylight. And, in times in history in the past, I've had pictures of them, essentially, and I'll get them, on a trail camera, walking through, and then, I'll go and freaking hunt them that next day and they'll be gone, won't show up at all, and then the next day they'll pop a camera again or they'll show up. There's something to it, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's pretty much full court press for us at this point. I mean, it's November. There's really all of our intel is kind of worthless. I mean, it's pretty much just get out and spend as much time as you can in the tree, and
it is. It's balls to the wall, right? It's 100 high right now, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, just absolute full court press.
Yep, it is. So
I can tell you that for the mental aspect of hunting when it's 70 degrees is the toughest part for me, because it's like, gosh, it just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't.
There shouldn't be deer out here.
Yeah, it takes a little of that motivational degrees. It knocks it down quite a bit, and
absolutely.
It's and it probably shouldn't be that way because we can't stop the rut. They're going to do their thing. It's that mental, like, we know historically or typically, in October the 3rd, if it's 70 degrees, you're not seeing shit. So
exactly.
But it's the rut. So at some point, even though it might only be 30 seconds of the evening, that's all you need to be there for is that 30 seconds is when he's up and starting to get after it again. So, but a lot of that stuff you said, Blake, is exactly what I've been doing is focusing all in the timber. I got one stand that's in the hardwoods, but it's on the edge of corn, but it is, like a 300-acre cornfield. So at some point, a lot of those does, I've pinpointed like 2 groups that I'm within 100 yards from each way.
Oh, yeah.
So at one point, I know a big buck is going to walk out of that corn with some of those does and push her back into that timber, back into another bedding area. So I've been focusing that spot and deep timber stuff. And, I mean, from here on out, it's going to be that every day. It's just focusing inside the timber, not outside on the edges. I'm not going to focus on food. If the corn wasn't covered, don't get this confused, I wouldn't be focusing on it. Corn is cover. So that's part of their bedding. So that's part of the strategy in that spot. But besides that, man, it is I got a great transition area between 2 bedding and where they have to walk through to get kind of basically it's a north-south thing. And they get to the south side of one, it starts the other side, and it's just tons of bedding in there. So it's almost unfortunate in a way because it's so much bedding that it's easy to be like, dude, this is a needle in a haystack. But if they do what they should do normally, check those bedding areas, they got to come through this little pinch. So, we'll just keep focusing on that. And, I'm doing what most guys don't do in Michigan. I'm trying to kill a deer that's 4.5 or 5.5. So, it's not easy. So I had my chance already. You had a deer that most guys would have, cut their right leg off in Michigan for. But, I know the potential of this farm that has a couple really upper-end deer. So, like I said, it's bow hunt or die. I'd rather eat a tag sandwich this year. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think that the hot stuff is kind of like we talked about mentally draining. But if you just got to be like kind of disciplined. Like I literally make myself set till 11. I haven't seen a deer between 9:30 and 11 yet. Up walking around. But I know that it could happen, and I just tell myself always like, okay, you're going to hunt 11, and you're going to be in the tree at 2:30, and I just make myself do that. You know what I mean? And really just hunt the wind and try to hunt around does and get in the timber as much as you can. And ultimately, that to me, that's like where I'm at. You know what I mean? It just takes the guesswork out of it. Now, at some point, there will be a time to set all day, and if you can do it now, more power to you. But I think if guys are really looking at it, I mean, I've seen it so many times that guys, go out and hunt and they don't see a deer. Or they don't see the deer they want by 9 o'clock, and it's getting warm. And they're like, yeah, it's too hot. The deer aren't moving. And they get out of the tree, and it's like, man, that last hour and a half could have been it. You could have been done in it. So I would always just tell everybody, to just set a time. Like, set a time. I'm not going to leave the stand until then. I know that I'm good to go and just ride it and see what happens. And, I mean, that's how we got to where we established what these deer are doing, in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we legitimately just made it, because I'm going to tell you right now, I had no clue. I would have never called it. I would have been, even though all the hunting I've ever done, and I had no knowledge that it would be this good and it would be worthwhile to be hunting as much as we've been hunting. But I just made myself do it. I'm like, it's November. You're just going to sit. You're going to sit till 10:30, and you're going to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree
and that's ultimately what did it. So it's I don't know, it's interesting. We're just trying to hunt, like I said, to hunt areas, hunt farms. There's really no intel as far as cards go. I wish there was, but unfortunately, it's just too. If you get a picture of him, you're too late.
Yeah, it is at this point.
He's probably not going to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. I checked 1, 2, 3 cameras yesterday around 11 a.m., 11:30, and I to be honest, Blake, I literally deleted every photo. Like I didn't even save a photo because it just there wasn't any MRI, there wasn't nothing, and that is 3 different spots on an 82-acre farm, and there was just nothing. But that alone gives you some information that tells you that, hey, they're not hitting scrapes. Now, could I, intrude a little bit and maybe set up camera somewhere? But else in the timber, yeah, for sure, I could sneak in, maybe do a bedding area and do that. But again, it's almost too late. So basically, like Blake said, the best thing to do, and that's what I've been doing, is just get in stand and watch where the deer movement is and sit as long as you can. And I agree, during the middle of the day, like right now it's 70, 72, 73 in Missouri. Like there's going to be a window in the middle of the day where I'm going to bet there isn't that much movement right now at 70 degrees. But but still, pay attention.
It's not impossible for it not to happen.
Yeah, it's not impossible that it won't happen either. Cause we know it could for sure. But that also means, like, pay attention, guys, in the future here. Next 4 or 5 days or 6 days in that forecast, we will get another cold front, and just be prepared. So. Oh yeah,
that's when it's all day. You ride it and go.
Yeah. Get your snacks ready, get your Gatorade ready, whatever you need, you better have it, and be sitting there all day. But
yeah, absolutely.
So anyway,
I think ultimately, guys will get it done. And it looks like we have a big cold front. So Missouri Rifle opens up on the 14th, I think it is, this year. But we have a big cold front coming like the 10th. So like the last 3 days of bow season before Rifle are going to be just pretty phenomenal. I think that'll be, we've got a couple really hot days today, tomorrow, I think. And then the rest, go on. But I'm going to be real honest with you. You know as well as I do. I mean, those big deer, the big deer when they're up on their feet, the 5 to 6-year-old deer, when those deer are up day walking twice a day in the daylight, that the does are closed. I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside. They don't. Those deer don't. They're not like a 3-year-old, like a 2-year-old that just think they think they know when the rut is and they're out running around in October.
Yeah.
Like these deer just don't do that.
Wondrously. Yeah.
Yeah, these deer have done this. They know the game. They've done it for 6 years, 5 years, and they know. I mean, if they're on their feet, that's your indicator that it's close. You know what I mean? It's literally probably. For me, I've always seen it make a big switch on the 7th in Missouri.
Okay.
The 7th seems like we always bump early does around Halloween. 1 or 2 of them. And they come in and they do their thing, and we lose our big bucks usually for first couple days of November. And then it slowly ramps up, and then it seems like it always drops in Missouri on like the 7th, and then the 9th, and then the 11th are like those days leading up are just smash days. But the 7th's always like a big jump from what it's been doing. Like I think you get, your first couple of the main ones come in on the 7th. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then kind of a couple more trickle in on the 9th and the 11th, and then it's just because I know usually from like the 9th on, we won't see a doe without her having a buck with him. You know what I mean? It may be a little buck, but you're not going to see a doe by herself. She's not going to be. Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
But we have started to see a couple yearlings this week. I didn't actually see them until Monday, but started seeing a couple yearlings that were by themselves. So that means a couple of those have come in at some point.
I was just.
But I haven't seen a buck with a doe yet. Every buck I've seen has been by himself, or he comes in, chases those for a minute and then leaves.
Yeah.
Like
Copy
he's legit.
that.
I
That's
haven't seen
exactly what's going on here. And matter of fact, same thing. Every doe I've seen still is with her fawns. And I saw a different 3.5 year, actually, I believe he's 4.5 year old buck 2 or 3 nights ago. Came out, it was warm that night too, like in the 50s. He came out, I don't even know where he came from because he was actually between me and the house in a cut bean field. So he came out, but there was 9 does there. So I know that, like, legitly, he caught some of that southwest wind. He came from the east. He caught that wind, and it just told him, like, go check one of these does or get close enough to check one of these does. And he did that, and then they kind of fed to the west and just disappeared in the dark by the time I was out. But yeah, just crazy. But same thing. He was by himself, and I have not yet to see a buck, and doe following each other anywhere yet. So. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't either, and I haven't seen one in lockdown. I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't, any of that at all. So I think it's just a couple of days from really busting, but I think it will, So yeah, I think it will. I think it's going to, even if it's hot. Like, that's the thing, guys. Just got to realize, like, hey, I know it's hot, but man, get out there. I know I talked to guys that are like canceling trips and stuff.
Oh,
like,
no,
don't do that. No. Like, just go. It's fine.
There isn't another run in December or January. It's now.
Yeah, like you're gonna miss out on some of the good midday hunts. That's gonna happen, but midday hunts aren't that great anyway. You still have a good solid 2.5, 3 hours in the morning and in the evening to hunt.
Yeah, for sure.
So why are you not? It's just. I mean, and obviously there's big deer up. Like, they're
right.
Doing.
But I don't know about you, Blake. I'm not going to complain about a 45-degree morning. That's still cool enough. Shit can happen,
100%. It's actually, I like it better. I would rather. We hunted one morning last week that it was 23 degrees, and the next morning was 60. Literally, the low was 60. We went from 23 to 60, and I told my camera guy, I was like, man, I will trade you the 60-day all day long.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, you're comfortable. Like, the 23-day felt right. You can see your breath. You just felt like you're in the rut. But the 60 was the day that I saw the deer I'm hunting. He didn't even show up on the 23-day.
That's crazy.
He showed up on the 60-day, and I was comfortable. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Everybody I've talked to, I've had a bunch of guys call and ask about deer and just seen them. I'm like, get out there, like, go. It's November. It's freaking November 6th. Like,
yeah, don't give up. I mean, by anybody, listening, don't give up. And the next couple days, I mean, deer is still going to be killed. So, hopefully you're a part of that, because it's going to happen. And just like Blake said and I said, like, hey, the mornings are still really good temperature-wise. Take advantage of it. And just, you struggle through the afternoon. That's all, that's all there is to it. But, hopefully.
It's getting better every day.
Yeah, and it's going to get better. Yeah, exactly. The same for here in Michigan, Blake. Like, always around the 9th or 10th, it kind of seems like another light switch flips on. And those are days, like, we're going to, spend a lot more time, especially when that, like I said, the temperature drops a little bit. That I'll be packing in for all-day hunts. But, I think a lot can happen between now and then. So, the best thing to do is, keep doing what I'm doing, is hunting 8-10 hour a day every day.
Yep.
And just watching deer movement. Eventually I'm going to figure it out, and if I have to make 1 or 2 adjustments, I'm going to. So, like last night, I actually pulled a set in the dark, got out of it. I sat it purposely to pull it down, and moved it into a doe bedding area. And either tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll finalize kind of putting it up and picking the right tree. I moved the sticks over there and whatnot. But I know for a fact, like, there's 8-9 does in there that it's bound to happen there. I just have to be there. So I had to literally, pull that trigger, so to speak, just get it out of my, don't be emotional about your sets. Pull it if you have to. Don't think this is the right spot. I still think that's a great spot, but this spot is where the does are. And I know if the does are there, the next few days, I guarantee you there's going to be a big buck in there, and I can probably shoot him. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've hung 5 sets since Sunday.
Yeah.
We've literally hung 5 sets since Sunday, trying to chase this deer and trying to predict these. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of rut funnel sets set up for a south wind. Like I just don't. I haven't ever had 6 days in the forecast of the same wind.
The same wind, yeah.
Literally 6 days of the same wind. I'm like, oh, I gotta start finding getting some sets hung so we're not just burning one.
Right.
So we started just, trying to get some different angles on these bedding areas for this deer, and we saw him and had an encounter with him and moved on him because of that one. Now, I don't know, I've got a couple options now, which is nice, so we can kind of bounce around and play kind of musical stands until we get in front of him. But, yeah, absolutely. I mean, stay flexible, spend as much time as you can is what it is right now. It's full court press. Don't worry about bumping something. Just go get in the spot you need to get to and sit it out.
Especially the does. If you're lucky enough, if you get a chance and you do bump some, like, hey, that's intel, man. You just found their bedding. No big deal. Literally, they'll be back in that bedding. They will go back
and the
to
buck
that
doesn't
bedding.
know they're gone.
And the buck doesn't, exactly. So
they're going to be there in an hour, and they won't even know.
Yep, exactly. So take advantage of that. But, what I'd like to do, Blake, is let's do this every couple days until this rut's kind of trickles down. But
absolutely.
that way, we're far enough apart that we kind of cover everything in the Midwest, so to speak, timing-wise, and it just works out great that me and you can kind of coordinate this. But so,
heck yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Blake, for being on, and we'll do this again soon, and good luck with your number one.
Good luck to you too, man.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, bud. Bye.
Bye.